And we are live.
Yes, we are. Um, and I'm at our daughter's room here because
Mm,
downstairs my partner is following a PhD lessons, and it's very cold outside. It's the seventh day of our 7 days of rest and kind of closing as we began live. Um, and yeah, we were just kind of discussing what do we want to kind of share about the 7 days and what is kind of uh, the invitation for the next 7 days and 14 days, 21 days.
and beyond.
Um, yeah. Do you want to start, Devin?
Sure. Um, First, thank you all for going on this journey with us. It's been such a pleasure to be in the field of rest. Something that feels really loud in my system is often we think of rest as an individual practice. Like, I need to go rest, I need to go sleep, nap, write, be with nature. But in this journey, we really got to be in the collective field of rest and doing it, moving through this together. And especially at this kind of turn of the Gregorian New Year, the this past year has been a lot of shedding. It's been a lot of like looking internally, reestablishing boundaries, figuring out what is true for us, what is important to us. Um, and a lot of the energy for this next new year is fresh starts. It's beginning. It's really looking outward and having more like grounded action with an awareness of what's happening around us. And it requires the first, it requires the like slowness, the awareness of self, and the attunement to our own intuition. Uh, and how can we invite that attunement into the collective field? And to me, a lot of that is about um, a lot of what I'm excited about in that is bringing in a collective field of rest in the future and looking around and being like, hey, who wants to go rest with me? Who wants to go take a nap by the river this week? Who wants to go make some art in the forest with all of the leaves? Who wants to go, you know, go to a garden and make rose tinctures, right? Um, who wants to be in the slowness of life with me? Um, I'm feeling very enamored by this like shift in possibility of like really building out not just an individual but a collective strength, a collective field of empowerment through rest. And what's going on
Yeah.
for you right now, Yuri?
Yeah. I think what you shared about making rest, what I'm taking from it is making rest not just something you do in the end of the year or the beginning of the year, but something that, that's easy. That's what everybody does. But like to make rest your 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 ongoing practice of recuperating, of regenerating, of aligning. Because I feel rest is not about just not doing. Well, it is about not doing, but it's also about receiving and grounding and centering and receiving wisdom, like downloading wisdom from nature and making with intention, with, dreaming. All of this I feel, are essential parts of what resting is. And this is what in Western society has been catalyzed as non-productive, something that is not productive. um, but it's the only thing that is really producing anything, in my opinion. Um, because without that, you cannot really be creative. You cannot really bring. something new into the world without, that's my perspective. Okay. So
Yeah.
if someone feels differently, that's okay. But um, that we need that space of um, rest and connection every day, every season. And now it's the time to say, I'm going to make rest my thing.
Yes.
and, and, and a field, yeah, it's a field that we can create together, generate together for one another. So supporting the people we care about in their resting and letting them support us in our resting. And then we rest together. And yeah, that's also something you said, like, yeah, let's rest together. It's not have to be like a individual unresting,
Yeah.
no
But
disturbing sign.
what I hear in that is also this like, duality is the wrong word here, but there's rest as resistance, but in the resisting of like I'm not going to be productive, we're also like using rest as a seed for a new way of being. Like we're just we get to like be on both sides of it and anchor ourselves in this. Actually, we're not doing that. We are choosing us and choosing to move at the pace that our bodies want and need for us to listen and make sense of what is true for the world and for the natural world, not the society that they've convinced us is true, but for what's actually true for this earth that we are of, and move from that place of knowing. So that feels very exciting. Very exciting.
Mm. Yeah, and Joanna is with us. If you want to share, you're invited. And we had quite a few people following, and maybe people, will connect with this, you know, in a couple of months or next year or in 20 years. Um, but I feel potentially this is helpful to you wherever you meet that. And I think rest, is forever useful. It's kind of an evergreen concept, I feel. Um, and also something we discussed is that it seems like 2026 is a year that gives us time to make that transition, like everywhere we're talking to. So it's okay if you haven't figured out yet what's happening. And it seems like there is kind of some time here. So don't feel stressed or like, oh, I haven't done my whatever. That's okay. Like you have time. And yeah, and I think like trust, you did the practice on trust yesterday. Like, and yeah, trust, like a radical trust in life, I would say, and the intelligence of life and yourself, because you're life as well. So here you go.
Yeah. I loved the on at our Zoom on Sunday, we had a beautiful conversation about knowledge. And like once you tune into yourself, you like find the innate knowledge, that innate intelligence of the earth. And then your questions become answers because you're just listening to the intuition and your connection to the like, you know, earth's intelligence, that the answer just come through to you. Um, I can say my invitation into this space, into the 7 days of rest, was actually just you sharing one of the practices and me being like, that's a great practice. Let me learn more. And going on a deep dive down your Substack. um, and the gift of those days, it was just random, fall days of just being able to slow down and listen to the earth and listen to myself and be in the dreaming, be in the collective field of breath, being in the reciprocity that we have with all of the more than human kin. Um, Even the little like microbiomes in our own body. It tuned me into a knowing of myself in a way that I had slipped out of, as life sometimes does when things get chaotic and we're like, "Ah, I've gotta do this and this and this and this and this." And it became not a thing I had to do, but a thing I got to experience. It became more of a gift rather than a chore, and we very much wanna invite that in this space. Like, you're never too late to be in rest, if you haven't done any of the practices, if you're just finding this randomly on the internet and like, "What is this about?" Try out some of these practices, because they're rest is always available, and when we meet it gently. Sorry, I'm noticing this thing that is sitting next to me. Um, how beautiful it is to do nothing and rest afterward. This is my invitation to rest in my house because I often struggle with like, oh, I have to do this, this, and this, and I can't rest. And again, it becomes a chore. So every time we can invite ourselves to realize that we get to just exist, and that doesn't have to be a chore in the way that we've been told our existence is a chore.
Yeah. And I feel when once you arrive to some form of alignment, then also the doing can be restful.
Mm.
Um, you know, and also the whatever doing the thing you're supposed to do, because it's not really what you're supposed to do. You chose it. Like almost everything you're doing in one way or another, you chose it.
It's
You know,
beautiful.
either in this life or before. You chose everything.
Uh-huh.
So so might as well do it from a place of yeah, I'm doing it. It's like
Yeah.
oh, I have to do it.
Mhm. Mm.
And life is a mystery, and sometimes you get things dropped on your toes. But you kind of need to figure out what's the essence of the message here. And
Slow down, maybe. Well, yeah, I think about how there are times, it doesn't happen all the time, but when I'm doing art, and it's the most restful thing that I do. Where I just, like, slip into this, like, meditative state of just like, "Ooh, the way these colors play together, the way the shapes and the lines all meet," and it's just like, it feels like whatever I'm working on is telling me how it wants to be, like, what colors it wants, what design it wants, whatever, rather than me being like, "I have to put a design on a thing." It's just like, I'm discovering what wants to come out of this piece in front of me. And those are some of the most moments, but it requires a slowing, definitely.
yeah, and the slowing doesn't require a lot of time. So in the
Mm.
sense that the 2 days ago I was supposed to be doing the practice, and I had like a short time because it was in between things. But then I went and I recorded it and I picked up some leaves and I made this collage drawing with the leaves afterwards. And I don't know what, you know, the video was 3 minutes. The whole thing was half an hour, but it's there on my wall and it has information I can go back to somehow. Um, and it was just kind of, yeah, I'm just going to experience something different now. I'm going to practice and and then I'm going to give that value somehow. Um, and and now also as I'm doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, like writing a PhD proposal, I have this thing hanging and I can connect with it. Okay, yeah, the olive tree told me beauty and stillness and playfulness, wildness, and I can bring it to my language. It can support me as I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing or whatever I'm supposed to be doing because I didn't
Mhm.
chose them. Um, but I can do them with some anchors. I think that's what we said, like anchoring the new, like something that I can kind of, okay, yeah. Um, there's someone holding my back. even when things are kind of weird. And 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 yeah, the making of this feel helps. Like for me, like making drawing, art, collage, sculptures. Um, it um grounds, it makes it into, because it kind of can get very floaty with ideas, like dreams and things. But it really helps to do, and then without expectation to create a masterpiece or something, but just being in it.
Feels like a really perfect time to introduce the practice for today. Would you
Yes.
like to?
You go first. Um,
One of the things that I love about this week of practice is what is possible when we let our rest change us, when we let our rest like open ourselves more to what's going on internally and externally, rather than just like, oh, I have to crash, take a nap, and then just keep going. But like let it um, inform, realign, re-anchor ourselves into who we are, what we believe, what we trust, and move from there. Um, so our invitation today is to meet that realigning, that awareness, that opening to the self through art. Um, so when you find your next time for rest, sitting with crayons, markers, pens, any kind of creative, clay, whatever feels your medium that you're inspired by right now, and create something that reflects the opening that's happening internally, the awareness, the intuition, the landscape of rest that you're holding. And this is not meant to be a like, okay, cool. This is a snapshot of the landscape of my internal world. So I'm just gonna paint this snapshot. Part of the wonder and the beauty of rest and attention is that once you offer yourself the gift of your attention, things change, right? Things change and are always growing and flowing. And so the invitation is to be in the continual flow of that experience. So you have a landscape and then all of a sudden the sun comes out and so now the painting has to change a little bit and just keep following that. Maybe it starts raining and then now you've got like just follow whatever that internal world looks like in your system through art and see what happens.
yeah. And I'll just add to it like journaling, which is basically writing um without a purpose or without like a predetermined purpose, or kind of letting the pen write for you. So this is, sometimes you have some guiding questions, sometimes there's some stuff you can find also on working with a process called Theory U, and there is a field of the future, 17 questions. There are other questions you can work with, but also sometimes it's just to journal, and it's kind of like a lost art, keeping a journal, because we don't have, you know, well, if you consider social media as sort of a weird multimedia journal, then I guess everybody's keeping a journal, but or a lot of people. Um, and some people are watching. Anyway, the I think the idea of the power of the technology of pen and paper and journaling, in that sense, and I do recommend pen and paper if you can, rather than, although you can potentially journal on your phone. Um, and being surprised, kind of like that, in the same way of making an art piece or something. It's like, oh, this thing wants to come up, and then rereading that, um, and allowing that to inform what's going on in your inner world, because there's something happening in your inner world for sure. And a lot of time we don't notice because we're doing stuff that we're supposed to be doing. and we're not listening to what's going inside. But what's going inside is what really matters because they have all the information we need. So, so in a way, journaling, art making, it's all kind of this rest space of possibility. We can, at any point, open a window to the inner world and kind of listening and see, oh, okay, that's good. That's information. And the writing down, the making, that's a way to again to ground it, to create something of it that then we can go back to. So again, like put it up on your wall or fold the paper somewhere in your book so you see, jump into it at some point. Um, and yeah, I think there was something else that you wanted to offer resting together, resting with each other.
Yes. Um, this is just a smaller invitation. Um, one that can hopefully last through the year is finding and making space to rest in community. So whether that's I'm going to plan a nap with my cat later today, or a once a month I go and through the warm months go take a nap with my friends at the water on the river, or we go to the woods and collect leaves and make mandalas out of our internal worlds and see how they want to dance together. But inviting the collective, our communities, into these fields of rest that we've really been cultivating this week, not only in our own little group, but across the world and all of the different kind of collectives of folks that are offering these 7 days of rest. So letting this one week expand through the year by inviting the rest of our communities, letting our little webs of people expand and anchoring this field of rest throughout.
Mm, yeah, yeah, no. I think there is not a single more transformative possibility than the world taking a rest, you know? And I think there was a hint of that in COVID when it was just beginning the lockdown.
There was.
We can just we can just stop doing all the things and nature awaits and all sorts of things happen. And then, other things happen. But yeah, um, so no, I think that revolution of rest. And yeah, thanking again everyone and Joanna and I see Waco Theater. I think it's Pop CD. We're seeing you in Senegal in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And enjoy 2026 and reach out to each other if you're struggling and keep connected.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, y'all. Be well.